Did you watch the Trump-Putin summit? I tend to feel things viscerally, and I've been digesting everything that had opened up in the news cycle. The projections, the lies, the aggressive energy that's just pushing and pushing for a narrative because, oh dear, we don't want anyone to find out what actually happened or what we feel about it, including ourselves. We don't want to find out. And amidst all of that, I'm also questioning whether it's sustainable for me to do these news check-ins, because the actual story for me, of course, is the paradigm shift, but it's impossible to think about the paradigm shift when this is what's on our plate. And so this is what's constantly on my mind, and I'm feeling called to talk about it, so I'm talking about it for now. Thank you for your patience as I try to structure these a little bit and not be completely free associating, but this feels of importance, and I'm going to just give a perspective on what's actually happening, which is a follow-up to what I said before the summit, which is that there's not going to be an agreement, there's not going to be a resolution. We are going towards a global conflict, and we are going to inevitably have to confront the nuclear weapon question that's looming over our heads as a collective. That's still my perspective. Everything that's happening feels like it's just revving further and further to that becoming a reality. But I see value in the different perspectives that I'm seeing. Many people have been overly positive, overly optimistic about what can be expected from the real progress that was made with this summit, which is that Trump actually met with Putin and everyone had to deal with it. Everyone had to get over their projections about Russia really is and the Russian leader and who he is and whether we can even put him in the category of a human being. And there's a lot of true spiritual, genuine value in Donald Trump that I may or may not get into as I talk about this, but that's real and I really appreciate it. And I believe him when he says that he does not want the killing to continue. That is his true heart as far as I can tell. But he's in a system and he is inheriting a whole story that started a long time ago and has a very calcified history, and it has to do with the deep state and the neocons and people who are, whether they know it or not, they want war. That's very real, and it's there in the US and it's there in the European side of the story. And Ukraine is stuck in the middle. Two core pieces of falsehood in the whole story that's being pushed right now is that the US is a mediator. The whole thing is a web of lies and a delusion, a theatrical kind of play, because it's being presented as the US being so kind enough to help out or to be so altruistic and wanting the well-being of the world that they're helping Ukraine get its sovereignty against the bad guy who maybe will also treat as an okay person, maybe a human being. That whole thing is not true. The US has its hands in the whole thing. It enables the whole thing. It might have even had a huge role in starting the whole thing. A lot of the narratives that are being pushed right now are in order to distract the public from that fact. And why do we have a hand in the whole thing? Because we have been, and continue to try to run away from the deep void and disconnection in ourselves collectively. I'm talking about the Western hub of it, the narcissism, the detachment from reality and from our own bodies on an individual level. That's what we've been running away from in the Western world, in this modern era. And that's what's on the table, and that's what's going to be confronted, and that's why I think it's not going to be able to be confronted with anything less than a huge conflict that brings us to our knees existentially. And so Trump has created this conundrum where he's saying he's doing a bit of healthy separation by saying that it's Zelensky's decision, and that's why they're meeting tomorrow. Zelensky's coming to the White House with some European leaders, apparently, so that they can get the information that Trump has and make a sovereign decision about the situation. But of course, that's not what's going to happen because they're not sovereign, and there's all of these intertwined, merged dynamics with the US and with everyone in power. So now there's this term of security guarantees that's being floated around today in the news cycle. So you can't have it both ways. You can't both want healthy separation and distance and also say, yes, I'm going to be there and protect you and support you unconditionally like they had been saying all this time, which was not true, and they are trying to withdraw, but they can't because they're also narcissistically involved in the role that they're trying to hold on to, because it gives a sense of false power while they're actually harming the entity that they are purporting to protect. The US is going to be confronted with everything that they were running away from when they get involved and extend themselves with a mixture of genuine desire to help, but also narcissistic desire to maintain a self-identity out there that they're running away from within them. But that's why, even though there are a lot of complex pieces to it, there's still one coherent storyline truth that has both a very positive and progressive and forward-moving component to it, and also a negative or difficult, painful component to it that has to do with transforming everything that was, the past, and what's actually going on the ground that's being kept from the public. So to the best of my ability, and as I feel called to do it, I'm going to keep talking about this because it's very relevant to the paradigm shift, and I will probably get into how it's relevant in more detail down the road as it comes up. Thank you for your attention to this matter.